Greetings. My name is Michelle Sourie Robinson. I'm the president and CEO of the Michigan Minority Supplier Development Council. The team has asked me to share with you the history of our relationship with Plug and Play and how we created Plug and Play Detroit powered by AmplifyD. AmplifyD meaning Amplify Diversity. This really all began for us a few years ago. I had attended the Consumer Electronics Show and was really looking for ways that we could ensure our minority business enterprises were prepared for the future, that we were gearing our programming to ensure that they were able to compete in the innovation and the digital age. I came away with that knowledge and that insight, but I also came away really perplexed that there were not more minorities and women represented at CES in very valuable ways. I know that there are minority business enterprises, there are women-owned firms there that have great technology, great innovation that they want to offer. And it was our goal to identify a way to help them commercialize that and to bring it to market. We knew that we had to look at many different options, and we decided that the best was to ensure that there was an innovation platform, and we knew that that needed to be placed in Detroit so that we could leverage the many resources there for mobility and innovation. In doing so, we knew that it was also important to ensure that we actually had goals and targets. We wanted to ensure that 40% of our target was always looking at minority and women startups because they're often excluded from other options there. So we embarked on a journey to really identify the best way to go about creating an incubator. And then we knew that we needed to identify the right partner out of Silicon Valley to come alongside us and to support this effort. We went to Silicon Valley and interviewed firms, and I must say, when we met with Plug and Play, we knew that the decision had been made for us. We knew that it was the right fit, not only for us as a council, but also for the many businesses that we work with. Saeed, Amidi, and his team were invaluable to us as we talked about the feasibility of placing an incubator in the state of Michigan of this type. And they were able to work alongside us to ensure that our goal of ensuring that it was an inclusive and equitable venture was also met. We're excited to have Saeed Amidi, the founder of Plug and Play, with us today. Mike Zayanch from that team was instrumental in ensuring that we were able to have the type of platform that was necessary for us. In addition, Sohab Khani and Adam Jansen have joined us, and they will be with us today. But we're also so very excited about the corporations that are joining us as founding partners. Some of them are here today, BorgWarner and FCA. We're excited about their support and very grateful for their support early on, understanding that by working together, we can create a mobility corridor here in the state of Michigan that ensures it's attractive to startups and innovators from all around the world. And by doing so and ensuring that we bring that to Michigan together, we all win. These are certainly fierce competitors in terms of talking about our corporations and the way that they approach their work, but they're also very proud Michiganders. And adding to our fabric here as a state, I am very, very grateful for their support. And I know that you will find this next session to be quite enjoyable, but also insightful. So whether you are a business owner and you have a great innovative product and want to understand what the process will be like, or you're simply a corporation and you're really trying to determine how to best go about leveraging this opportunity for your organization and your business objectives. This will be a very insightful, very informative session for you. I thank you for joining us. I thank Plug and Play and that entire team, as well as our panelists and our board member, Christie Wong-Barrett, who was so instrumental in assisting me and even traveling with me to interview Silicon Valley firms. So enjoy this session. Thank you. Have a great day.
It is with great pleasure to welcome you to Plug and Play Detroit. We had incredible success working with the automotive industry in Stuttgart, in Silicon Valley, in Japan, and in China. And we are really pleased to bring the startups and entrepreneurs to Detroit and embrace the talent and the startup in Michigan. We feel when we combine the funding from Silicon Valley, the knowledge of scaling businesses in Northern California, with the great talent that is available in Detroit, we can find great startups, help them to work with Fiat Chrysler and other automotive companies and build great companies. To give you a little example, in Stuttgart, we've been operating for 4 years, and we approximately accelerate 80 companies per year. The 80 startups per year is a great number, but the most important is close to 50% of the startups have a pilot with Mercedes, with Porsche, Volkswagen, with ZF, with Bosch. And that's what makes this innovation platform special. Having an OEM, having a tier 1 supplier work together with a startup to make incredible technologies implemented in the automotive industry. We feel because Detroit is the center of the automotive industry in the United States, we would love to work with every OEM, every tier 1, tier 2 supplier to make this innovation platform as successful as the one we have in California, in Tokyo, or in Stuttgart. Looking forward to working with every one of you and hope we can build the bridge between all these automotive hubs around the world. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this session here at MMPC. I want to take a few minutes to walk you through a high-level overview of Plug and Play's platform, the services we provide, and a bit of the history behind our new program in Michigan. So before we get started, my name is Adam Jansen, and I'm leading Plug and Play's expansion into Southeast Michigan. If you have any questions at all about anything presented today, please feel free to reach out to me directly, and I'll be happy to set up a conversation with you. So jumping right in, Plug and Play, we believe innovation should be open to anyone, anywhere. This belief is really central to our platform since we serve as matchmakers between a number of unique stakeholders, most notably between emerging startups and industry-leading corporations. But we interact with far more than just startups and corporations. We also work with nonprofits like MMSDC to ensure that minority-led startups are given fair opportunity and exposure. We co-invest with hundreds of VCs. We connect our startup batches with mentors that can help them take their business to the next level. And we engage with thought leaders in universities, and we hold events like alumni pitch nights. And finally, we partner with government groups like MEDC to grow local economies and to ensure that our startups can effectively take advantage of the resources that they offer. When you look at Plug and Play's business as a whole, you can separate it into 3 different pillars. So first and foremost, we're a venture capital firm. It's at the core of our business, and we're one of the most active VCs in Silicon Valley. We make about 200 investments or more per year, and that's, again, really at our core. Second, we run a corporate innovation platform. In this platform, we help our corporate partners identify novel solutions to their most pressing pain points or technology interests, really anything that they're interested in. And as part of that, we also run an accelerator program. We use these tech interests from our corporate partners to source startups that solve these needs for a BD-focused accelerator program. We hold this twice annually per vertical, per location. We take 0 equity, and we use this really as an opportunity to evaluate the startup's traction in real-world interactions with potential partners and customers at no cost to the startup. So we are the largest, most successful innovation platform in the world. We were proud to collaborate with over 400 partners worldwide, including many of the largest brand names, which you can see on this slide. We've also been incredibly successful in sourcing the best startups in the world and investing in them. We were early investors in Dropbox, Lending Club, PayPal, and a few more of the names that you see here. Our current network of startups is well into the thousands. I'd also like to emphasize that we have 17 distinct industry-focused verticals as well. So every corporation can find the most relevant startups and strategic partners for their specific businesses. So this brings me to Detroit. We have this enormous network of corporations, startups, and other partners all around the world who I just touched on, and we're incredibly excited to connect Motor City with all of them. So if we look at mobility specifically, you can see that Silicon Valley HQ is just one of our offices. We have 7 all around the world. And I'd like to just touch on a couple of those. So if you look at Silicon Valley, the program started back in 2014 as IoT, or Internet of Things vertical, and mobility saw a ton of traction. So we spun it out into its own vertical back in 2016. And we've since had 25 plus investments per year, nearly 400 startups accelerated. We're just about to start our 9th startup batch. And we have 60 different corporate partners. So it's just been hugely successful. And so we knew we needed to replicate this in other places around the world. And so one of the early places we went to was Stuttgart, Germany, otherwise known as Startup Autobahn. It's one of our more successful global offices. So this was founded back in 2017 together with Daimler and a few other partners. And they had a great deal of early success. So Porsche, Hyundai, and others very quickly joined after launch. So now they're up to 30 partners, and they've accelerated 250 startups and completed 340 pilots. So if you do the math and you think 340 pilots and 30 partners, that's 10, 11, 12 per company. And just think about it. What could your corporation do differently if you had 10, 11, 12 different pilot projects with startups who are trying to solve kind of your most pressing issues? So it's just something to think about. And this leads me again back to Detroit. So if you look at this map of all the different locations in blue, you can see that one really important one was missing. And so, why come to Detroit at all? Well, so first off, it's really the home to the American automotive industry, but maybe even more importantly, Detroit is turning into the next major technology hub in the United States. And so this was said by Jeff Bernstein, the president of the Association of Advancing Automation, and we feel it's completely true. So some really exciting startups have popped up in the area. If you look at May Mobility, StockX, Bollinger, and even Waymo, which is widely seen as one of the leaders in the autonomous driving technology, has set up shop and built a significant presence in Michigan. And not too long ago, it was even announced that there will be a new self-driving vehicle corridor between Ann Arbor and Detroit. And so we knew that we needed to be here, and now we are. So one other thing that I'd like to point out about this is, it's not Detroit is turning into the next major automotive hub. It's technology. It's so much broader than that. And we know that there's other major industries in Southeast Michigan, and we're dedicated to serving all of them. And so, again, we know Detroit is economically and culturally diverse place, and we're focusing on building this platform to serve all these different industries. So yes, of course, the mobility industry, but also financial services, manufacturing, supply chain, back office technology, and even more. So, what is open innovation, and why should we embrace it? And why should we do partnerships anyway? So this is a long quote. There's a lot to take in here, but I think really the important thing to remember is not all of the smart people in the industry work for you. We accomplish so much more together. And with that in mind, some of you might have seen that we're partnered together with FCA and MMSDC. We put out these several press releases actually in January saying, yes, Plug and Play, we're finally coming to Detroit. And we're really excited. We couldn't have done it without them. But I'd also like to call out a couple more partners. So BorgWarner and Planet M have also signed on to be founding anchor partners. And we're really, really excited that we have these 4. And I also want to point out that, it's not closed off. If anybody else would like to become a partner, that's definitely still an option. But as of right now, we have these 4 really great partners. As for what we've been up to, we've been really busy. So we had this press release back in January. We've had our selection day for Silicon Valley in March. We had the CTOs of BorgWarner and Lear do a session in May. I was on together with a couple of the partners to do a panel with Planet M in June. In July, we had Sourie Robinson from MMSDC talk with our founder and CEO in a fireside chat. And finally, also in July, we had a webinar together with Bain & Company, which was all around continuing to innovate in a downturn and why it's important. But now today, we're all here for the launch announcement at MMPC. Looking forward, batch 0, which is called batch 0 because it's going to be a virtual batch. We just thought it made the most sense for all things considered. And so today we have MMPC. In October, on October 23rd, we will have Selection Day. We'll have several deep dives after that, which will all be leading up to our summit in February. If you're thinking about becoming involved, there's a few things that we ask for. One, we ask that you dedicate a person on the ground at the director or VP level to be the champion, which is kind of our day-to-day point of contact. We ask that somebody from the BU becomes involved. Of course, there's a financial commitment, which it varies depending on the level of service. There's an executive buy-in, which is really required, and we've been very successful in having this from a number of different partners. And also, of course, there's a time commitment. You can liken plug and play kind of to a gym for innovation. If you use it more, you'll get much more out of it. As for the team, again, I'm Adam Jansen. I'm the director of Plug and Play Detroit. I also have Logan Azelton on our team, and we'll be hiring more for ventures, community management, program management, et cetera. On Silicon Valley side, we have our founder and CEO who's very actively involved, Sobhan Khani, the VP, Johannes, Mark. Really it's a big team effort. And so with that, I'd like to move on to introduce the moderator of the panel. And so Christie Wong-Barrett, she's the CEO of MacArthur Corporation, which is a mid-sized tier 1 automotive supplier. Her previous experience includes time with McKinsey, Raytheon, and Schlumberger. She sits on the board of MMSDC, and over the past year or so, as we were planning, this Plug and Play Detroit launch, I've had the pleasure of getting to know her a little bit and work more closely with her, and it's been really great. And so I know that you're all viewing this session virtually, but please give a warm virtual welcome to Christie Wong-Barrett. Thank you.
Good morning. I want to test and see if we're live. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Adam, Saeed, and Michelle for kicking off this historic milestone. I can't believe we're finally here announcing the launch of Plug and Play Detroit powered by AmplifyD. Good morning to all the MMSDC network, the MMPC attendees, and thank you all for joining this event today. We hope all of you are making great connections, expanding your supplier diversity programs, and generating inclusive growth opportunities. As Adam said, I was just so excited to be part of this team launching Plug and Play Detroit powered by AmplifyD. This launch is a global milestone to intentionally catalyze corporate innovation and startups that will become the leading diverse suppliers of our future. They really meant it when they said open innovation. This is open to all and inclusive to all. I have the honor today of moderating an extremely impressive, power-packed panel where we are joined by thought leaders in mobility innovation, economic development, and innovation at their corporations. Our first panelist is Mamatha Chamarthi, the Chief Information Officer at FCA. Mamatha, could you just say hello to everybody for us this morning?
Hello, everyone. I'm equally excited, Christie. It's been my dream since 2016 to have such kind of an innovation set up in Detroit in the automotive hub with Plug and Play. And I can't really contain my excitement that it is true today.
You are a visionary, Mamatha. You were ahead of us in 2016, blazing the trail in Silicon Valley, and we're just so happy to have you be part of the launch and the impetus to get things going here in Detroit. So thank you so much. I'm also pleased to introduce Trevor Pawl, who's the Chief Mobility Officer for the state of Michigan. Hi, Trevor. Welcome.
Hello. Good to be here.
Tell us why you're excited about this launch today.
Oh, man, this is years in the making. And frankly, like, engaging more mobility startups is a huge goal of our governor and our state. I mean, that's how you create jobs. I mean, we'll keep attracting companies, but let's have the next great, multi-billion-dollar company be from Michigan and have started at Plug and Play. That's my goal.
I couldn't agree more. We're going to build an ecosystem here like nothing else in the world. That's innovative, diverse, inclusive, and really tapping into the insights, brain power, and potential from every single person on the planet. Thank you so much. We're so excited to have you.
Yeah.
Our third panelist, again, power-packed panelist today, Tania Wingfield. She's the Vice President and Integration Champion from BorgWarner. Thank you so much for joining us, Tania. Would you say hello and a couple words about why you're excited to be here today?
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for including BorgWarner. We're really excited because we've been a partner with Plug and Play in Silicon Valley for years, and we really believe in the value of bringing up incubators, of leveraging the creativity and the speed that can come with this. So it's just a great opportunity, and with everything else that Detroit's done to revive itself, this just is.
Wonderful. Well, it's an uplifting message we're bringing today, and eyes on the future. So we're super excited to kick off the panel discussion. And again, I want to thank everyone for making yourselves available today. To learn more about the significant achievements and just the incredible backgrounds of these panelists today, please go to the platform at MMPC and make sure you look at their bios. It kind of blew me away, and make sure you take a look and see how wonderful the leadership we have in the state of Michigan that's really supporting this growth initiative and our futures as a collective. So to kick off the discussion, I'm going to start with a question that I'd love each of you to answer, and we can go in any order that you want. We're going to start with the elephant in the room, and it's a pretty big elephant with some spiky red dots around it, shaped like a little ball. We're undergoing some pretty challenging times right now as a state, as an industry, as a country, and as the world. So how is your company's need for innovation? How has that changed in the past several months? And do you have any stories that you'd like to highlight?
I think if I could go first, Christie, the first thing I would like to say is please stay safe, mask up, and maintain the social distance. And I hope and I pray that all families in Michigan and around the world are staying safe. Automotive industry, it continues to be at this crossroads of disruption. And this disruption comes from the 4 macro trends: autonomous or advanced driver assist systems, that is augmenting the human intelligence while driving the car, because most of the accidents, as you know, are caused by human error, about 95%. And we are trying to eliminate and save human lives. So that's why AD and ADAS are so important. And then electrification, it is saving the environment for future generations, not just for our generation, but future generations. It is very important. And then the third is shared mobility. And I think that has taken a hit during the crisis, but I think it's a matter of when it will come back. And then the fourth is here and now is connectivity and connected services. How do you collect the data? How do you connect the car? These 4 macro trends, in each one by itself, causes a tsunami of disruption for any industry, and they're converging. And so you can imagine the impact. And these trends are continuing even during the crisis. And what's accelerating is how the customer shops for cars. So no longer are customers going to dealerships, they're shopping online, they're buying, they're going through the entire process online. So if you were to ask us about a year ago, how many of our customers really do the end-to-end car buying process online, I would say less than 10%. But today we have close to a big part of our sales happening online. The whole process is happening, still working with our dealerships. So that is where it's accelerating. But every aspect of our business with these 4 macro trends is getting impacted. One significant thing that we have done with open innovation at Fiat Chrysler during the crisis is we asked our employees, what innovative ideas do they have? in the field of connectivity and connected services. So we did a pitch night, but we did an employee pitch night. And we had employees from all around North America and even some from other parts of the world submitted 500 odd ideas, of which we selected 3 best ideas, and one of which was like, we had a group of judges, the executives at Fiat Chrysler. So one was a judge's selection. The second was a crowdsourced, what does our employees like? And the third one was plug and play. They had an opportunity to select one of our employees' ideas that had market potential. So that's how we are trying to bring that open innovation, not just by working with startups, but by also encouraging our employees. And I'm very happy and very proud to report that these 3 ideas are making significant progress, and hopefully we'll soon see some announcements in the market about these ideas.
Wow. That's exciting, Mamatha. It sounds like you've brought the culture of open innovation not only with outside companies and startups and partnerships inside of the culture at FCA during this period, and that disruption is probably our new norm on many fronts.
Absolutely.
Trevor, what are your thoughts on the need for innovation and how that has changed in the past few months?
Well, I mean, pre-pandemic, the future of mobility and autonomous vehicles, really what you were trying to mitigate were accidents and fatalities. Now it's mitigating the inside of a vehicle, making sure the air is clean, the surfaces are clean. And healthcare and automotive have converged in a way that we've never seen before. So as much as we're focused on setting up smart infrastructure and artificial intelligence to make sure that an intersection is safer, we're also working with autonomous shuttle providers on ultraviolet light technologies to clean those surfaces in that air. So, but like what we've seen though, I guess to pull out a bit, are really 4 things that have happened where the mobility industry, states and cities and COVID-19 have crossed paths. The first is canceled or delayed mobility projects, whether it's vehicle releases or other smart city projects. Public transit being abandoned, so mass transit in countries like US and Germany dropping by more than 70%. The third is industry shutdown or slowdown. So, I mean, this is just wild. Who would have ever predicted this on January 1st? But COVID-19 shut down 93% of all US auto production for 2 months. That's crazy. And then with airlines, 80 to 90% drop in ticket sales. And then that fourth bottleneck involves supply chain. But now is like we look at the solutions and sort of how a public sector partner can work with private sector partners. I think there's a revolution in contactless delivery and the mobility of goods, from long haul trucking to last mile delivery. And so one of the things we're really focused on at the state level right now is making sure we're laying the tracks for a multimodal future, one that can ensure that there are no more supply chain bottlenecks, one that is multimodal. So yeah, sure, we're using the automotive industry, but we're also looking at drones. And we're looking at ways that we can create use cases through the mobility of goods to ultimately get to more robo-taxis and passenger autonomous vehicles. Because at the end of the day, it is about still stopping those traffic fatalities and making our cities safer, more productive, and also eliminating any barriers that folks may have, because there are mobility and barriers that exist in a place like Detroit and other major cities. So I mean, to me, I'm extremely bullish on where we're going. One of the questions early on is when the pandemic hit was, does mobility still matter? Do autonomous vehicles still matter? And absolutely. And while the momentum maybe has shifted away from some forms of technology, other forms of technology are hot right now. Whether it's autonomous trucking, as I mentioned earlier, even the work that companies have done, like Refraction AI in Michigan, Neuro out in California, and Amazon. I mean, we are revolutionizing right now the way that we shop, the way that we get our medical supplies, even the way that we get critical inventory and manufacturing our data centers. And Michigan, I'm telling you right now, we're going to keep working as hard as we can to lead the way in those areas.
Thank you, Trevor. It sounds like the focus on obviously individual safety has remained constant from before and today, and that the technologies that you're seeing have been able to be very agile. Some new technologies coming in to support the new safety requirements, other technologies still moving forward as we move to a future where we want everyone to be safe and connected. That's great. Thank you. So Tania, I'm really curious what BorgWarner is thinking about this. How has your company's need for innovation changed amidst obviously all the transition that we're all going through right now?
Right. Well, what's already been talked about quite a bit is just the ever-changing environment, and we've already mentioned the fact that platforms are being delayed, changes in people's plans are being delayed, and one of the things at BorgWarner that we pride ourselves on is our operating model. We have a decentralized operating model. We sometimes even call it our secret sauce. And we really promote speed and agility by driving that decision making down to the lowest possible levels in the company. And so what we're finding is the ability to react and to change the things and the ways we need to innovate has become more important. So instead of these larger innovation projects that traditionally you may think about, it's more just how do we collaborate? How do we do global design reviews when you can't get on an airplane and be face to face with people anymore? Yeah, how do we act and operate differently? And so really having people be able to think about their jobs differently and innovate. When I think about a story that's very real, is we had the unfortunate circumstance of one of our locations in the Carolinas being hit by a tornado. And if you look at how that plant has recovered, how it got itself running in just a few short weeks and providing products to customers, it was just amazing to watch just small things make a tremendous impact in being able to bring that location back up and running. So for me, it's everyday people thinking about how to innovate and react in this environment is what demonstrates innovation the most.
That's a really unique insight about the importance of this decentralization in some ways, and quick decision making, being agile, being able to respond to whatever fire happens to be right in front of your company immediately, because tomorrow is very unpredictable. I think Mamatha, you might have said that when we were getting started today. It's hard to even know what's going to happen tomorrow, and so if you have that power of agility, innovative thinking, and problem solving, you're able to then react and move your company forward when others are still trying to figure out what's happening. That's great. Thank you, Tania. So our next question for the panel is around the Black Lives Matter movement. And obviously it's an important initiative. It's an important cause. We need to have inclusion, fairness, rights for all. And it has recently gained additional attention in the global media, national media, and it's certainly important to our state of Michigan with our diverse population. As you know, Plug and Play Detroit, powered by AmplifyD, has a stated goal to include 40% minority or female innovation startups in each of its batches. So I'm just thrilled about this, right? We're deliberately focusing on trying to change the complexion, the ecosystem of our startup community and our supply base in the future. So with this in mind, how does diversity and inclusion play into your innovation initiatives? Love to hear from each of you. Trevor, do you want to go first?
Yeah.
All right. You were waiting for me to cold call you guys.
Look, we need to act. Like, we need to prop up our diverse founders in a way that other founders have gotten propped up in the past. In some cases, they've faced more barriers than other founders, and we need to recognize that. And what I think this movement has done is get us a little closer. And we also, not just with startups, like with corporates, we need to have more diverse leadership at these companies. That's a commitment that I know our governor has, that I have, and that our team has. So to me, like, I think it's important when we have content creation opportunities to make sure we have diverse panels. I think when we have an opportunity to activate new technologies, especially in urban areas that have a particular demographic, let's have the demographic be part of the solution. Let's co-create the solution together, or bring in a diverse founder that has a unique perspective to help us solve that problem. And I'm just speaking from a technology activation perspective in that case. I think, when it comes to business development, like, what are we doing to get more diverse founders, diverse companies in front of some of these tier 1 and OEM innovation teams. And I think that that's something that the traditional automotive industry, and specifically MMPC and MMSDC, have done a great job of, but there's still so much more work to be done. And we're committed to it. And so I'm glad, like, this to me isn't just like, hey, I'm on a panel. This to me is the beginning of a dialogue with folks that care about this, just like I do, and just like our team does, and just like our governor does. And so hopefully in the next year, you're going to see our new office, the Office of Future Mobility and Electrification, do more in this area because it's essential.
Thanks, Trevor. It's great to hear your comments about Act Now, and also just seeing the different spaces that you're seeing the need for diversity and inclusion, you know, and the startup community and the founders, in who we see at panels today, for example, who you have as advisors, co-creating the future together. That's wonderful to hear. Tania, would you share some thoughts from BorgWarner on how D&I is playing into your innovation initiatives?
Yeah, so for BorgWarner, inclusion's always been a key core value for us. It's not just the latest buzzword. It's one of our core beliefs. It's in our company culture. We really believe that without diversity, you just get single train of thought. So we've really focused on how do we get diversity in multiple ways, and especially diversity of thought. That's what happens when you have all people play in what you're doing. Also, when you look at our suppliers, we expect our suppliers to have the minority business enterprise, and that they have a formal program. And so we push it that way. So for us, we believe that it's about making sure that the things you can do in your control, that there is inclusion and diversity in our processes and our operating model. And we also are a proud member of the National Minority Supplier Development Council, which we know is also hosting the discussion today. So excited for that.
Thanks, Tania. One of your comments really struck a chord. You said diversity of thought, right? And if we're all the same in the room, we're all going to have the same thought. And in innovation in particular, you want to have all the ideas come out. Some of them are going to be great, and some of them are going to be horrible, but we want to see all those ideas and that diversity of thought. So it's great to hear you comment on how that's really coming through in your organization. So, Mamatha, love to hear about FCA. Tell us about innovation, diversity, inclusion, and how those come together.
I think the first thing I want to congratulate the team here is, Saeed talked about so many automotive hubs where Plug and Play has launched such kind of innovation or incubation, whether it is Startup Autobahn, where even I was involved when I was part of ZF. But what's unique about our innovation hub here with Plug and Play is that really it is being powered by AmplifyD, and there is strong partnership between the Michigan Minority Supplier Development Council and the automotive OEMs and tier 1s and the state of Michigan. So we are bringing all of the powerhouses together. We are bringing the richness of diversity, that commitment that we always had as not just the state of Michigan, but the commitment to diversity that we have as companies that have been established in Michigan. So I totally agree with Tania that this is not like a buzzword that we are aligning it with now in Michigan. FCA has a long-standing enterprise-wide commitment to diversity and inclusion. And we strive to maintain a diverse work culture and where all people are respected. And there's an intentional focus. And we have very productive business resource groups, which add to that richness of innovation. When we are talking about product innovation, many of these business resource groups get involved in testing those product features and bringing forth their ideas. So we as a company culture, it's within our DNA, it's within our culture to engage all employees and to have a very rich mix. Because I totally agree with Tania, if you don't have that richness of diversity in your work culture, your innovation will be severely impacted. It will be single-threaded. So I think that diversity, our commitment across Michigan to diversity And now we add on this innovation boost that we are getting by launching this incubation hub. I can only see exciting things happen with our commitment to women entrepreneurs. I'm personally committed to women in technology. So I'm very, very happy to see that the commitment to women entrepreneurs and commitment to diversity and having a target, what gets measured gets done. So having a target like 40% is really a very bold goal. And I'm just can't contain my excitement on what opportunities and what innovations and what companies get started through this endeavor.
Thank you, Mamatha. It's great to hear about the rich DNA of diversity that you have at FCA, and it's been for decades, the focus on diversity. And to see that now with you're joining as the anchor partner in this initiative to help us make it known globally that if you are a diverse startup, if you really believe in intentional innovation to include all, this is the ecosystem to participate in. The plug and play, Detroit, powered by Amplify, this is where you should come, because this is where we're going to deliberately grow and develop this future ecosystem.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Well, our next question is a little bit more focused on just open innovation in general. Companies like BorgWarner and FCA and state of Michigan as an organization are increasingly have collaborated with organizations, startups, and peers in solving problems in industries that traditionally might have emphasized privacy or developing new technologies only in-house, doing it by myself. What makes open and external innovation special for your organization? And we'll go to Tania first from BorgWarner.
Thanks, Christie. I would say this type of collaboration helps us with scalability of projects. We don't have unlimited resources to work on everything we would like to. And so there's a lot of infrastructure changes that, for instance, that we require that we can go to a place like Plug and Play and have them look at that. Multiple places throughout the supply chain, from raw material to suppliers to the OE, have a part to and play a part in achieving that goal of creating innovation for the whole population. So we can't do that in a vacuum, and getting different trains of thought, getting people outside of our industry, sometimes outside of what we do every day, are going to open up innovations for us, options for change that we just don't think ourselves. So, we each have a piece to play in this puzzle, but if we can, again, bring more of those puzzle pieces together and get outside train of thought, it'll help us go faster and it helps us be more creative and innovative.
Thanks, Tania. It definitely reflects on that common thread of, helps you scale, get to market, move more quickly. Early bird, definitely getting the worm, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Mamatha, what are your thoughts from the FCA perspective? Or ZF, because I know you had a lot of experience on open innovation there too.
I think the speed at which our industry is getting disrupted, an organic way of addressing that disruption may be too slow. And that's why open innovation becomes so critical to our companies and to Fiat Chrysler, because this open innovation helps us accelerate how fast we can bring features into the market, whether it is on ADAS or autonomous driving or connected. We have been participating at FCA with Plug and Play on many of the deal flows in the connected services area. So we are already working with a few startups to bring ideas, their ideas, and we are going through a minimum viable product, testing those ideas to bring them to market. I think it really accelerates. It gives that extra boost, and it also helps us attract the best talent. So the way talent is working today is not just organically attracting talent into your company. This is a good way of partnering and bringing the best talent to not only work on the innovation, but also quickly scale those ideas into the market.
It's an interesting way to frame it, is the talent that you need to solve these problems, these urgent problems. It's not within just the four walls of your organization, right? It's so much more porous, and you're reaching out to your partners, to technology startups, to organizations and nonprofits to help solve these problems more quickly. It's a very interesting way to think about it.
In the automotive industry, we've always worked in the OEM, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. We've always had those kind of partnerships. But I think now that software and data is driving that customer experience and is driving most of the change with the macro trends that we are seeing, we've had 100+ years of confidence that we have built in our operating processes around manufacturing and engineering of the mechanical and mechatronic product. And things that where we don't have or are building the expertise is where open innovation can really help us accelerate around software engineering, around data expertise.
Thanks. Trevor, what makes open or external innovation special for the state of Michigan?
Yeah, so when you think of the term open innovation, you think of the private sector. But I mean, to be clear, it is the top priority when it comes to mobility for the state of Michigan. I mean, open innovation, a systems level approach, creates an economic development advantage, point blank. And it creates jobs, and it creates equity, and it creates the things that society ultimately wants to live. You know, we believe that people and goods aren't just isolated to one mode of transportation, and simply being the best at, let's say, autonomous passenger vehicles is too narrow of a win to claim victory, to be the global mobility leader. So to us, we believe that open innovation is essential for a couple of reasons. We believe the future is going to be multimodal. We believe that there's going to be subscription platforms eventually where folks will have a choice between whether they want to take an autonomous vehicle, maybe even drive themselves, maybe take an e-rickshaw, maybe take a scooter, and all of it's going to be right there, and it's going to allow for a very efficient life. So we know that right now, the decisions that we make are going to move us closer to that world, and is going to move Michigan closer to being the leader, whether it's 10 years down the road or 20 years down the road. I mean, autonomous, connected, shared, and electric, those four fundamental macro trends. When you hear those terms in Detroit, you think vehicle, 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 vehicle. But the truth is they're foundational technologies that are essential in mobility across air, land, space, and sea. They're systematically linked. So a state that intentionally and consistently integrates all of those elements and takes on the spirit of open innovation, I mean, that's a state that's going to be able to effectively take new technology and plug it into the existing transportation fabric that they have. Because the last thing we want with the future of mobility is to create a world where there's the haves and the have-nots, where the haves get all the new tech and then the have-nots are stuck with existing inefficient public transit. That's not at all what we want. Now, fundamentally, I mean, switching gears a bit, to me and to our team, open innovation and startups enrich our R&D environment. So Michigan's the second highest receiver of VC funds for mobility companies, but that's still just a 10th of California. And so the more that we embrace open innovation, the more ultimately that I think we will be able to sort of change that stat and move closer to being competitive at places like California and Israel around venture capital. So those are just some of the things that I'm thinking about, but it's a very good question.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting to hear the common threads between all three of you, that really the world is disrupting and it's happening so fast. So there's this need for innovation speed, and the only way we're going to get there is through open innovation. And that if we don't do it together as an ecosystem, we will not be a part of it as the state of Michigan, and we need it to be a critical part of our future economic development. So it's just great to hear how critical open innovation is for our future altogether. So I think we only have about 12 minutes left. I think we could go on for hours. I'm loving this panel today. There's so many bright, great ideas. We'll probably have time for one question for each of you, and then we're going to have to wrap up. But I wish I could continue forever. So the last question for each of you, for Mamatha, we'll go first with FCA. Your organization were the first to put out the press release about partnering with Plug and Play in Detroit. What led FCA to make this partnership decision, and why are you excited about it?
I think the most important thing for us was not just the partnership with Plug and Play, but the partnership with MMSDC. Because we believe that there should be an intentional emphasis on diversity, because with greater diversity will come greater innovation. That's our core belief. And open innovation really dovetails very well with a significant initiative that we have called Drive.Digital. This is our digital transformation strategy, which will create the best experiences to inspire our employees and delight our customers. So our vision is to become the most customer-centric mobility services company. And this open innovation, this partnership, and everything that we're doing with MMSDC dovetails really well into our overall strategy. So that's why it's important that we not only do innovation, but do it in the best way possible.
Yeah. Thanks, Mamatha. So Trevor, from the state of Michigan, Plug and Play has been in business for a number of years, but they're just now expanding to Detroit. So what do you feel sets the innovation ecosystem in Michigan, Stuttgart or Tokyo?
So that's like my favorite question in the world. Thank you for asking.
Detroit hustles harder, right?
Exactly. I could just say that. But I mean, to me, it's not as much about what we have and what other places don't. I mean, Michigan's unique mix of regional assets give tech clusters like Silicon Valley, Israel, and other high growth markets many opportunities for deeper partnership. I mean, look no further than the hardware gap that some of these tech clusters have. Like a high concentration of software companies that need rapid prototyping, low run manufacturing. Michigan has a tremendous hardware advantage, whether it's factories operating with excess capacity, especially during like the traditional automotive off cycle. I mean, so that right there is one reason to be in Detroit, but there's like 10 other reasons from other places that have a risky supply chain. Maybe it's cost prohibitive, maybe there's an IP theft risk. Michigan has a deep, reliable manufacturing base. You look at the amount of end customers that we have here, 96 of the top 100 global tier 1 suppliers have a base in Michigan. So while you may start your conversation in places like Tokyo or Silicon Valley, in some cases, ultimately, if you want to be on a vehicle, you're going to have to run through Michigan. You're going to have to run through Detroit. Even our testing environments, all weather. Eventually, you're going to have to test in the snow. Michigan's a great place for that. And then when you think about all the different engaged Michigan expats around the world, especially in a place like Silicon Valley, I mean, we have so many startups here in Michigan that are looking to make that connection with those other markets. And I think there's an opportunity for those folks out there that have Michigan roots to use this plug and play platform to connect back into what's happening. So I'm over the moon. I'm so excited. Plus, I just love the plug and play team, so it gives me an excuse to hang out with them more than anything else. But I'm really grateful to be on this panel today. Grateful for MMSDC, FCA, BorgWarner. Let's get this done. Let's launch the accelerator.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thumbs up to that.
That's awesome. And Tania, you've already been a strong partner with Plug and Play in Silicon Valley through BorgWarner's relationship there. So why do you feel that is now advantageous to also partner with them a little closer to home also?
Yeah. Well, we have a large engineering center, our Powertrain Technical Center in Auburn Hills. We've been partnering with the local universities, with Michigan State, to help drive innovation and leverage the passion and energy you get with those environments. So adding Plug and Play to that makes perfect sense. And I agree with Trevor. I mean, you're going to come through Detroit ultimately for these vehicle innovations. So you might as well have it right here in our backyard. And also there's an energy and a passion that comes with Plug and Play in the environment and just dealing with people that are sitting in an incubation space. You get an energy and an ecosystem that you can't get anywhere else. So we're very excited to partner with that. And we really want access to that innovation, those innovators. They're bright, they're energetic, they're diverse. And a lot of times they're bringing technologies that are outside our industry. So it also, I think, gets us out of our automotive paradigms. So there's a lot of benefit to that as well.
Yeah, you're right. It makes us shift our thinking very quickly. Wonderful. Well, we do have time for one final question. I would love it if each of you could just share your parting thought on this question, which is, what advice would you give to leaders at any corporation that might be in our audience today that are considering joining an innovation platform? And I'll just open it up to whoever would like to share your parting thought on that.
I think, as I mentioned, Christie, the speed at which this disruption is happening, not participating in an open platform, an open innovation platform like this is a huge missed opportunity. There are many, many, many companies that have gone through this before, this kind of a dilemma. Should I do it all in-house, or should I participate in an open innovation platform? And some have tremendously succeeded because they did, and some have at the same time tremendously failed. And when a company fails, it impacts not just the company, but the community that is supported by the company, the whole ecosystem that the company supports. So it's not just for the success of the company, but for the success of the community, that encouraging and participating in such kind of open innovation platforms is very, very, very important. I cannot underscore the importance of it to accelerate innovation. And at the same time, what's important is not just bringing ideas to the table, but taking those ideas to scale. You need to be intentionally focused on taking the ideas all the way to the market. Otherwise, such kind of open innovation could become corporate entertainment.
Thanks, Mamatha. Tania, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think what we all try to do is obviously keep the pulse on the industry, what's happening. And so I think you need to look at what are the goals of your organization, and where do you really need to have a game changer? Where do you really need to maybe differentiate yourself or distance yourself from your competitors, and then take advantage of these partnerships and help them be a key part of your strategy. So not just an afterthought, not just to your point, maybe somebody's hobby project. You dedicate a resource or two to really work with these partners. Think about all the different ways they can come in and help your organization. And I think too often we just limit it to what can they help me do in electrification. But we've had circumstances in Silicon Valley where some normal, some of our combustion products have access and leverage some of the technology we found there. So I think don't limit yourself, be open-minded, and look for places where you want to do something different and you're not having it happen within your organization.
Thanks, Tania. And Trevor, what about you?
Yeah, so I think both from the OEM tier one corporate side and the startup side, I mean, the advice that I would give based on what I've seen in this space is show up. If you're a startup, go to where your customers are. There's nothing like face-to-face engagement and tech demo versus just seeing everything virtually. And for OEMs and corporates, I equate it to, going into an accelerator is kind of like going into a Nordstrom or a Macy's. In the store that you're physically in, or the store nearest you, you may not find everything you're looking for. But especially with plug and play, if you shop online, you can find whatever you want. And with plug and play, the global network, the expanse of startups across the world that they have across industries. I mean, if you don't find what you're looking for in Detroit, there are so many other accelerators and so many other pools of startups that you can access. And that's why I love, of all the different accelerators that we're talking about here today, that it's plug and play. So if you're an OEM tier one, I mean, get in there, work with the startups. I mean, don't just pay for the membership and attend some of the big events. It's that one-on-one engagement, and it's that global network engagement that's going to seize the day, that's going to win the day, and make this a success.
Yeah. So the common thread is, what are you waiting for, right? Everyone, let's just get moving and join the platform.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just want to thank Mamatha, Tania, and Trevor for being part of making history with Plug and Play Detroit, powered by AmplifyD. At this point in the plenary, we'd normally be hearing a huge round of applause, maybe some standing ovations from the audience. So we'll just have to imagine that in our heads today because we're in the virtual world for this. But we certainly appreciate your insights and your expertise and your passion for inclusive innovation. What you are doing in your companies is really making a difference for our futures, for all of our futures. And I just want to thank you again on behalf of the team at MMSDC for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Christie.
Thank you.
Great. So before we close, we'd just like to share a few upcoming milestones to the audience at MMPC on how your organization can get in touch and learn more to join the Plug and Play Detroit initiative. The first batch of startups is currently actually being sourced with partner technology interests already identified in August. In mid-September, a list of possible startups will be shared with partners for their review and voting on who we will be including in the batches by October the 2nd. Batch 0 selection is going to happen in late October. So we're already moving forward with the first set of startups for the Detroit location. Overall, the timeline includes focus weeks on specific technology deep dives, deal flows, and office hours that will culminate in a summit that's expected to be in early 2021. We really hope your organization will join this platform to boost your innovation capabilities and be part of the movement to create a future ecosystem of innovative and diverse suppliers that help you launch new technology to market at scale. To learn more about participating in this initiative, about Plug and Play Detroit, deal flows, startup technologies, and upcoming events, please reach out to Adam Jansen at Plug and Play, who is leading the initiative for the Detroit location. Again, thank you all on behalf of the MMSDC for participating today and joining us in the launch of Plug and Play Detroit, powered by AmplifyD. Thank you.